Hi guys, welcome back. So, a couple of days ago, I saw a video on people who are called the sleepless elite of the world, which is a term used to describe persons who can get along in life on 3 to 4 hours of sleep as opposed to our usual 6 to 7 hours of sleep every night. And there are a lot of people claiming that you can become sleepless elite if you follow like a diet or if you just train your body not to sleep that much, but that's incorrect. I don't think you can. You're just born that way. I don't envy a lot of things people have, but being one of the sleepless elite would definitely be fun. I think it's about 1% or 2% of the population. It's not a sleep disorder. And as someone who definitely struggles with a host of sleep disorders, I think that's insanely cool. But anyway, it got me thinking about other stuff that people have that just puts them at what many would consider to be an advantage. For example, like a lot of people in this world aren't born naturally hairless. For a lot of women, this would be something that's definitely enviable. Being born naturally hairless, especially in the kind of society I grew up in, would definitely make you, super enviable. I remember it was such an issue growing up having body hair, and it's also the type of insensitive thing that people would just feel free to talk about in school. Like I know we had people in our class, I'm sure they didn't know any better, who would look at girls and point out which one of us had arm hair and which one of us didn't, which is not good for any of the girls involved, except if you were one of those who didn't have a lot of hair. I think the conversations about body hair removal or body hair generally started when I was about 12. I have been very lucky in that I was late to quite a lot of these conversations. Recently, I was watching the Netflix documentary Explained series, and I saw the episode on plastic surgery, and the way they tell you about it is what beauty procedures have been prevalent across the ages and how there's always a shift in what is considered necessary and what is considered optional. Example, body hair, which till like a while ago was something that was widely accepted and nobody had an issue with it. But in recent times, because of how celebrities have started appearing on red carpets and they're entirely hairless, it's become expected almost. So if a couple of decades ago you were someone who was removing your hair regularly, you would have been an outlier, but now it's been turned on its head. And similarly, there are a lot of procedures which are a lot more invasive and permanent, which are slowly moving from the optional sphere to the required spheres, and one of the things is cosmetic surgery. I remember growing up, and in my teens at least, it used to be a whole thing where people wouldn't talk about plastic surgery or talk in very negative terms about anybody who'd gotten it done. They'd look at actresses or even older women and laugh about stuff like, oh, she had Botox done, so obviously she's not natural. I think one example that got fed to us by the media a lot was Sri Devi's, and everyone used to obsess over which plastic surgeon she's gone to, whether she's gone to LA to get her procedures done or Switzerland, and it used to be such a secretive thing. But in the past couple of years, especially in like the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a complete shift and it's becoming normalized to the point that it's almost expected. I saw a video in which the YouTuber was talking about how the frequency with which plastic surgery is becoming more and more acceptable, especially amongst like the younger population, like teenagers, is alarming because I mean they look at it and they're surrounded by images of people getting this procedure done, or plastic surgeons advertising it on TikTok and whatnot, or celebrities looking a certain way, which is absolutely fucking impossible for you to look like that if you don't get any procedures done. So in your mind, you stop looking at it objectively, and by objectively, I of course don't mean your desire to either get it or not get it. What I mean is you stop treating it as an extremely risky surgical procedure that it is and start thinking of it as just another step in your beauty routine. And that shift is super alarming. The thing that really puts me off is that there have been such shifts, and God knows we followed crazy beauty trends throughout history, but plastic surgery sort of almost, if I had to draw a comparison to a beauty trend, reminds me of how in China and Japan they would prefer smaller feet, so they would bind your feet. It's so permanent. For example, the Brazilian butt lift, right? I think it was the Kardashians that made it famous, as with every other thing nowadays, it seems. I remember watching a video about how the BBL is one of the most dangerous surgeries in the world. I know that there are a lot of people who talk about how dangerous it is, but it doesn't really seem to be making a difference because people still go ahead and get it done. And at first I was like, why would you do that to yourself if you know all of these these things are dangerous. Isn't it so insane how easily people are willing to be influenced by the things they see around them constantly? At first I was like, surely not, you can't possibly look at a bunch of images or be surrounded by something and then feel like getting it done. Like for something like cosmetic surgery, right? I like to think that no matter how many images I saw, I wouldn't want to go ahead and get any procedure done. And that's not because I'm not unhappy with certain parts of my body. Like constantly I think about how my eyebrows would look nicer if they were lifted, how I need to get a nose job done because my nose is too long. I dislike my chin so much, and if there was a way of shaping it without like using knives, I would definitely do it. I don't like the fat rolls on my stomach or how flat I am. So like there's a lot of things I want to change about myself. But still, I think that if I was surrounded by people getting plastic surgery all the time, that I wouldn't really fall for the peer pressure, is what I like to think. But I started thinking about it. Like, consider the keratin hair treatment. I remember there was a time, I think about 2 years ago, where everybody that I knew was getting it done, almost everybody, and it was being advertised all over the every time I went to the hairdresser, they would suggest it. It was really being pushed in the media, and all of my cousins and a lot of my girlfriends got it done, and then I ended up getting it done, even though I know for a fact that what they use in this keratin treatment is formalhydrate, whatever. That's a carcinogen and it is known to cause cancer. I knew all of this. I knew the risks. I wasn't especially unhappy with my hair, but just because everybody else was getting it done, I said, why not? I should go ahead and get it done. It's not that difficult for me to imagine that people who might otherwise have been happy with their bodies, had they not seen everything that was going on around them, would go and get this procedure done. And I think that's what a lot of these social media platforms have done, normalized it to the extent where you think everybody out there is getting it done, which might not even be true. If you open up any social media app, they're all going to push the same good looking, insanely attractive people at you. But here's the thing, here's where it's messed up. Logically, my brain knows that these people might have altered themselves on various levels. They might have gotten procedures done, they might have on a full face of makeup, and on top of that be using filters, and at the end of it editing everything and putting it up. So that's almost 4 stages of alteration. I know all of this in the logical side of my brain, but the more you stare at these images, the more you start disconnecting from what you actually look like and what you think you should look like. And I think that disconnect is now, for a lot of people, gotten so wide that it's starting to feel a little Black Mirror-ish. Everybody wants to look the same. That's at least the idea I get after watching a lot of these videos and reading up a lot about cosmetic surgery. I think there's a certain body type and a certain face type that everybody wants. Everybody wants to look like each other, and the end product is not anything any of us would look like naturally. They're picking features from different ethnicities, from different races. They don't want to look a day above 25, and they will do anything to achieve that. And the end result, I don't even want to say it, but it's not attractive. Like, it used to be attractive when all of us look different and you could find somebody that fit your vibe. Nowadays, if you open a single app, it just feels like we're living inside that movie, the one that had Christian Bale. I think it's called Equilibrium, where everyone's supposed to be exactly the same. You're supposed to have all the same emotions, look the same, dress the same, and it's a little creepy. I mean, I want to at some point in the future make less of a ranty video and more of an informative video on cosmetic surgeries. The only thing that I want to sort of end this video with, I just feel like it's getting too much. But anyway, thank you for listening to this rant. I will see you guys again next whenever. Ciao.